All right, joined now by Paul Walter Hauser. How are you? We already did this like before I did the official start. We know you're doing good, but I'll give you like a second attempt at answering that.
So there's a bit of a double dip. We kind of already did our own intro. You guys missed it. That's your fault. My name is Paul Hauser. I'm an actor. I so appreciate being on the pod and getting a chat with you guys. I only heard good things about you guys from the Proud Boys, Weinstein, bunch of friends of mine really speak
Great. Great. Yeah, really. That's those. Yeah, that's I'm glad they backed.
They love you, man. Kevin Spacey loves you guys.
We sent all the literature. Yesterday we opened up an interview talking about Jeffrey Toobin, and this is today. We're on a roll right now, so it's nice.
Love it.
We got a lot to talk about, but we're going to start off with a movie that we've actually already talked about, already seen. Cruella is the first one out of the gates. Cruella, a prequel, as our audience knows, to 101 Dalmatians, the cartoon, I might add, not the live action with Glenn Close, though shout out to our not actually good friend Glenn Close, but I'll call her a good friend. Cruella, though, people loving it. Summer movie. We had a great time with it as well. It is a very artsy, fashionable, fun movie that kind of breaks the mold on these Disney, because it's not a remake, it's a new story, but these Disney cartoon to live action adaptations, right?
Tellings, yes. There's many of them to come too. This was kind of an experimental one a little bit, where we didn't carbon copy it like Lion King. We kind of did a little bit of a new take, and it's familiar to some stories. Devil Wears Prada, like there's definitely some close connections, but I think it also feels like its own movie because it has the vibrancy of dark humor and fashion and 70s rock music. Like, I really think it kind of stands alone as its own thing.
Is that what drew you to this? Like, say hypothetically, and like I'm obviously like money aside, roles just like a brand hypothetical. If the pitch were to be a recreation of the cartoon, are you as interested, or is it just because this was so different that it's the intrigues there?
Yeah, I would say I'd still be interested no matter the iteration, but it does, saying yes to a movie like that does have to do with who's involved, and where I'm at in the sort of evolving journey in my career. 2 years ago, I auditioned, actually more like 3 years ago. I think about 3 years ago, I auditioned for Lady and the Tramp to play a dog catcher, literally. And like, it couldn't have been more than 10 lines of dialogue in the whole film. And I did not get the part. I got beat out by a terrific character actor whose name I'm forgetting. I think his last name is Martinez. He's a Latino American actor, and he's the discount double check guy for Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, you're right.
He's fantastic. I just can't think of his name.
You're making my brain explode.
Yelling Rodgers. That's an iconic role.
Yeah, but like, I was begging to do that role 3 years ago when I didn't have a job, and I was like, holy crap, I want to be in a Disney movie. This is a way better movie, I think, than Lady and the Tramp probably was, and I get to do quite a bit in the film. So, it's just funny how that works out, how you wait for things to line up, and the fact that Craig and I had done I, Tonya together, and the fact that, I was where I was at in my career, it just seemed like the right movie to me. Because like Richard Jewell's more of the anomaly. Richard Jewell, that came out of nowhere and kind of felt like an accident or something. It's like the French dip, they dropped a sandwich in a vat of au jus. Suddenly it's a new menu item. I don't think I was as intentional as I was an au jus casting decision. Then we'll see if anybody gives me a lead again. But I think I nail it in the supporting stuff. I like working with really big, talented people who let me do my thing, and hopefully I work with their special sauce and we make something dope like Cruella or Black Klansman or whatever.
Well, that's an interesting question. I'd love to hear you kind of expand on that, because you have done. You were the lead in the Clint Eastwood movie about an incredibly well-known story in this country. Maybe not as well-known in Death of the Man, because like the Richard Jewell story is just so complicated in many ways. But you've had supporting roles that people like you pop on screen. I, Tonya, for example. So you do like, is that a thing that you prefer? Like, obviously you're not going to turn down a leading role, but you have more maybe fun with that?
I have turned down lead roles in indies and one or two like studio films, some of which would have been lucrative. But I'm trying to do stuff that I would pay my $50 ArcLight ticket in Los Angeles to go see. Like, I'm trying to make stuff that'll last, that people will like, and I can be a part of. I call it the Cool Kids Club. So, I'll talk to my agents at CA, and I'm like, what can we do to keep me in the Cool Kids Club? Like, I want to do what Jesse Plemons is doing. I want to do what Paul Dano's doing. I want to do what Jonah Hill's doing. I don't want to like join a sitcom and wear donut crumbs for 8 years on my chest. Now, if things get rough, will I do that? I will be the best donut crumb sweater you've ever seen. I will treat a 3-camera sitcom with a laugh track. I'll treat it like it's Hamlet.
There's got to be a little bit to having like Jim Nance say your name at the bottom during like an NFL game where you'd be like, it's Paul Hauser in, I don't know, Donut Man.
It's Paul Hauser and whoops, where'd the cookie jar go? Tuesdays at 8:30. Look for a cameo from Kathy Najimy. Yeah, no, I don't know what the future holds. I'll probably keep getting supporting stuff, but if somebody wanted to give me a lead role, I mean, I definitely want to do that at some point again. I hope it happens. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. So I think one thing about this movie that I really, really liked was the soundtrack. And I think a lot of people are really responsive to that, right? And that is just, it helps set the vibe of the movie so much, but that's all done in post. So how does the director sort of set the mood, so to speak, in that respect?
Well, he tells you not to call the SAG rep. He dims the lights. He locks the door, and you pretend you're a fan of the whole resume. No, how does it? You said set the mood. Sorry, you walked right into that one.
Sorry.
No, Craig Gillespie just sat me and Joel Fry, Jasper down and basically told us, he said something like, hey, I want you guys to kind of feel like you fell out of a Guy Ritchie movie and just walked into a Disney movie. So why don't we play classic rock? Why don't you guys improvise a little bit? Why don't we make sure that Paul's accent feels kind of, not child friendly? Like kids are going to watch that movie and they're not going to know half my dialogue because of the accent. So that's not very conducive to telling the story, but it's conducive to setting that tone that has become sort of the hallmark of Craig Gillespie films. Is he's kind of a masterful creator of tone. I, Tonya, and Cruella are easy movies to screw up, and he made them both at a very high level,
Extremely entertaining. And I think one thing that was cool is that both you and Joel Fry kind of took your inspiration, not like directly from previous iterations, so to speak. Like I saw that you had taken some from Bob Hoskins, right, in Hook, and he had said that we got from somewhere else.
Are you guys fans of Hook?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Dude,
and Bob Hoskins.
I have all those lines ingrained in my memory of, I just love that movie. Every part of it, I love it. Speaking of Glenn Close, do you know Glenn Close dresses in drag and plays the guy that gets thrown in the boo box at the beginning by Hook?
What? No.
Remember the boo box with the scorpions? He's dropping scorpions in a box.
I mean, I'm looking this up right now.
That's Glenn Close?
Look up Glenn Close.
No way.
Yahweh.
Wow.
Yahweh.
Oh, yeah, that is 100% Glenn Close. There's no mistaking. Beard or no. Wow.
So weird. I love that freaking movie, but Bob Hoskins, I never forgot his dialogue when he looks up at Robin Williams and he says, he's Peter Pan, all right. He's just been gone from Neverland so long. He's forgotten everything. And I used to quote that in the mirror when I was like 9 years old. So here I am 20 years later, practicing that voice, stealing Bob Hoskins' literal voice to play Horace in the movie.
Would you ever follow up Bob Hoskins' role in the Super Mario Brothers movie if they did a redo of that?
Bet your ass I would. so long as I'm accompanied by dope people. That's the thing is, here's the reality. Let's talk like outside of film too. Like, if there's someone who's great in fashion, like established, like a Tom Ford, you can say the silliest thing, but the moment you tell me that a parachute jacket is made by Tom Ford, it brings credibility to what would have been perceived as ill fit or silly. So, when someone says Super Mario Brothers, I don't think much of it outside of being a fan of playing the games. But if you tell me that Phil Lord and Chris Miller of Lord and Miller are producing, if you tell me that Jon Favreau wants to direct and make it like capture the sort of weird Blade Runner thing that the early 90s movie tried to do, like, I'm in, dude. Like, I'll do the silly thing if there's dope people doing the silly thing.
Jon Favreau redoing with an even more edgy Blade Runner vibe.
Dude, Jon Favreau, Lord and Miller, and maybe me, and like somebody suggested Anthony Ramos from In the Heights.
Oh, I love that.
We just talked about that. Oh, he was great.
In Mario, maybe.
He was outstanding. Let's go a little more serious movie wise now. And I think most people who saw Black Klansman, absolutely one of the better movies that we've seen in recent memory. You've worked with a couple pretty big time directors, one of them being Spike Lee. That had to be pretty fucking cool. And you just said it, working with dope people, working for cool projects, working with Spike Lee's got to be up there.
Yeah, man. I remember reading the deadline announcement for the movie's existence just when it came to be. And the deadline announcement said like Adam Driver, Jordan Peele, Spike Lee. And I was like, what the, like, it's like someone being like, I'm making you a burger with extra cheese, bacon, and a homemade sauce of which you will only know partially some of the contents. Like, it was so enticing. I wanted to bite into that thing. I would have worked craft service on that effing movie. But, you know, I just auditioned. I was one of many weird looking white dudes to walk in and act like a psycho. And Spike got me. I just knew he got me in the room. I was improvising. I was trying some stuff. I was trying to be a little fearless without being overconfident or awkward. And he dug it. And, you know, 4 weeks later, I was booking my Airbnb for upstate New York to go shoot Black Klansman. So it's crazy how that worked out. And Spike is one of those guys who, if he ever called me, it would, unless he's like, I need you to do full frontal and shoot some children.
That might be it.
Yeah, there's not much I wouldn't do with that guy unless it was abhorrent, you know?
He listens to our pod. He's going to hear that and go, God damn,
man.
Now he doesn't want to be. He's got to have it 3.
He had you lined up for Pee Wee Herman, and now that just went right out the window. That really stinks. It's kind of funny you mentioned that, though, because something we always wonder with roles like that is just like, is playing a convincing racist awkward? Because we talked to Topher Grace about this too, because we interviewed him a few months ago, and he just told us, like, you know, you dive into it, you got to give it your full effort, and like that's the whole point of the like acting and doing this roles. You know, you really do need to give it a full effort.
Yeah, for me, you know, here's and this. Hopefully, some budding actors are listening to this, and we'll get something out of this, because it's a trick I use, which is, you know, I played a racist in Black Klansman. I'm playing a serial killer for an Apple limited series with Taron Egerton and Greg Kinnear and Ray Liotta right now. Like, I've played plenty of people I don't approve of as behavioral functioning human beings, but the reality is, you don't go into it going, oh, how do I play racist? Oh, how do I play serial killer? You find the commonality of psychology and just black and white truth. We all have been lonely. We all have been frustrated. We all have been marginalized to some degree, even our intelligence, maybe. We have shared characteristics with these odious, icky people, but you got to come at it from the commonality. If I show up and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to like this type of person, it's not going to be authentic, because I like all people. But I can think about the character being lonesome or drunk or depressed or in an income bracket that spurns some of these characteristics. And suddenly that becomes the identifiable makeup. The audience doesn't know the difference, but I, the actor, don't grab a Brillo pad and scrub myself down after a day of shooting.
Mm-hmm. I like that path to the role. I think that's very unique as compared to some of the others we've gotten before. I want to talk about another one of your roles as well, Richard Jewell, because that's a movie we loved a ton. And like you mentioned before, you've done supporting in a bunch of roles, but like you were the guy. So how do the nerves change from being like a supporting person that can shine versus like you now can no longer really fuck up at all because you're the guy?
It was so scary, dude. There's no way the studio wanted me to play that role. That was Clint all day. I think Clint saw me in I, Tonya and some clips of me in a show called Kingdom. And he said,
Love Kingdom, yeah.
This is the guy. Because I, Tanya, I'm funny, and Kingdom, I'm a little scary, and some would say overcommitted. And then, I think there were pieces of that in Richard Jewell. There was some light and some dark, and you had to embody both. And I also look like the son of a gun. Like I look like I could be Richard Jewell's brother. So, it all just kind of lined up really well. I'm proud of the movie, but even though I intellectually knew I was right for it, I mean, in the mornings, I'd be chugging iced coffee and literally slapping and punching myself in the chest while blaring Kendrick Lamar or like elevation worship music out of the Carolinas. Like I needed some bit of something to inject belief in myself, because you feel like a phony when you show up and Kathy Bates and Clint Eastwood are like, "What do you want to do, Paul?" I'm like, "I don't know, legends." I want to screw up your movie, So imposter syndrome's real, dude. Like you can have an Oscar and still have imposter syndrome. Like people are people. So I had to fight the spiritual warfare going on that told me I wasn't good enough. And then I would get on set and I'd be improvising with Sam Rockwell, crying with Kathy Bates. And those little voices that make me feel small and stupid, I get to clap back at them and say, we just had a 7-hour day with Clint Eastwood, and now we're going to go grab cocktails with John Hamm and Olivia Wilde and eat steak. Don't tell me life sucks. And as someone who dealt with mental health issues, like emotionally and depression and stuff, like those moments are pretty beautiful to get to walk away from a movie set, realize today, if even for 7 hours, I lived my dream. And I believe in my heart that I'm meant to do this character, do this job. And Cruella even felt like that culmination of, wow, I'm an uncle to 8 children. I have 3 siblings who are all married with kids. I'm finally making something that they can watch and enjoy and revisit and quote the way that I quoted Rookie of the Year and Hook and Mighty Ducks when I was a kid. Like, that is never lost on me. It's never far from my heart and my mind that I'm getting to help fuel and feed the next generation of entertainment. I'm not a pivotal part of it, but I'm part of it, man. And that's really exciting.
I love that. I'm fired up right now. That was a great speech. I'm like, my blood's pumping, man. That was awesome. But you mentioned Clint Eastwood. I mean, how intimidating is it walking on set, like you're saying, and seeing someone like him? Because we had talked to Ryan Phillippe, and he had told us, he's a grinder, because he'd worked with him on Flags of Our Fathers, and like he's on set, he's trekking, he's still like a young man. He literally
trekked up a fucking mountain.
Yeah,
the guy is focused and fearless, confident, and charming. He's everything you'd hope he'd be. But the weird thing is at 92, I think he's 92 now, he just knows too much. He knows too much to doubt himself. He knows too much to mistreat people. Like he's got so many things beautifully figured out that he sets a really good environment on set. And I don't know what Ryan said about his shooting schedule, but dude, most days were like 5.5 to 7 hours. Like it was ridiculous. It was like a shift at McDonald's, but you're being overpaid to work with Oscar winners. Like it's the weirdest thing. It was crazy.
I've always heard he's very encouraging. I've heard stories like in people doing impressions, and like he's very encouraging too. And whenever you do maybe like a take that he wants something different of, like I don't know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll hear like even if you didn't do it right, he'll give you that assurance, like, oh, that was great, but like let's maybe try this.
Yeah, no, you're right. He does have a pretty gentle sort of hand with everybody, whether it's scenes going brilliant or abysmal. He has a really delicate way of handling actors, and it's never demeaning or like patronizing. It's always like he's connecting actor to actor, not director to actor. I think that's part of what breeds such inspired loyalty and performances on his sets. And the only other thing I'll say about that is just like, Clint knows when to speak. He's not going to pull me aside to indulge some random thought. He's past that. Like there are 40-year-old directors on a TV episode that'll pull me aside and be like, here's what the character's thinking. And I'm like, dude, stop. Yeah, it's one thing if it's convivial and we're grabbing a drink and a slice of pizza and we're talking about the show. That's fine. But on set, like, you hired me for a reason. There's got to be some level of delegatory trust. And with freaking Eastwood, it's like he just trusts you implicitly. You do whatever the hell you want, and then at the end of a take, the only note he'd give me is like, pace it up a little bit. That's great, but you're molasses. Like, he would use the word "skip to my Lou." He'd go, "That's good, but a little more skip to my Lou." I would just crack up laughing because "skip to my Lou" is like older than the Bible. Like, that phrase is so funny. And I would look at Clint and go, you just dated yourself. You said "skip to my Lou" twice. Hilarious.
Oh my God.
I love that guy.
You mentioned Tanya a couple times. How aware of you? I'm sure you are. You played the roles, but you're very ingrained in the Olympic Stories cinematic universe. Basically,
the hell is that about? Isn't it weird?
What's the next Olympic story for you?
Olivia Wilde doesn't cast me in her Carrie Strug movie. I quit Hollywood.
There you go. That's right. I forgot about that.
Way.
There's got to be a dream team, a Michael Phelps movie. I don't know what it is.
I've been waiting for a Munich 2. I've been waiting for a sequel to Munich, and Spielberg dragging his clip clops. I don't know what's taking them so long.
You and Ben, I can see it already.
One more quick thing with Tanya, not totally Tanya related. And I actually saw you talked very briefly about it in an interview. I want to say it might have been I forget where it was, but it was a few days ago. You talked about being on the Winter Soldier's book in Captain America: Winter Soldier. Well, I'm saying that right, but I'm also saying it wrong. Spoiler alert, I guess. You mentioned how cool that was. And you mentioned that you want to work with Sebastian Stan again, just if it's something that's to the level of Tanya, but is there a Marvel connection maybe there? Is there I don't know. Is there something that piques your interest?
Yes. What's his name is Sebastian Stan? He's a big fan of mine. It's weird. He keeps hitting me up. He keeps trying to put me in his projects. It's really aggressive. That's the best word I can use without getting him in legal trouble. Very aggressive. No, I love that guy. We hit it off on Tanya. I did not know he was going to put my name in Bucky's book or whatever in the show, and I was cracking up because that's the kind of thing I would do to somebody. So the fact that he did it just proves why we're friends. I'm hoping to do something else with him. He and I really want to do a wrestling movie about Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. He'd play Rick, I'd play Arn. That's a possibility. I also talked to him recently about we're both repped at CAA. I want to hit them up and see if they can maybe get us like David Mamet's Speed the Plow, like the play adaptation, to make a film of Speed the Plow. That would be, I'm friendly with Mamet. He's a fan of mine. I'm a fan of his. And Sebastian and I are dying to do something on a high level. Cause when you do I, Tanya together and you love it and it gets 3 Oscar nominations and a win, it's like, we don't want to settle for less. We've already tasted the victory. We've already been to paradise. We don't want to go to, Idaho. People in Idaho right now. That's the first thing.
No worries. I remember, I think when that episode aired, I was up at 3 a.m. to watch it, of Falcon the Winter Soldier, that is. And I think I DM'd you at 3 a.m. East Coast time. And then and I have the picture and I was like, dude, you got in the fucking guy's book. And then like,
it does imply you're Hydra though.
I don't think he's awake. Yeah. That's bad news for you.
You know what? I've been waiting to get the call from Marvel. I've never received one, and that's okay. Laurence Olivier didn't play the Joker. I just start crying. I don't care. I hope I work with those guys, but if I don't, it's not the end of the world. I have an interest in. I would love to take over the Hulk for Mark Ruffalo, or maybe play the Thing in Fantastic Four or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Coming up.
Love that.
That would be cool. But I've also stunt casted Ethan Suplee in the role of the Thing. So even I'm betting against myself. I don't think that bugs.
He's jacked now too. I mean, damn.
Dude, that guy looks awesome. I don't even know him. I'm just like proud of him. And I really enjoy his work through the years. And I hope he's feeling better.
Okay. Before we go, I want to run something by you. There is a blog that I did in 2019 with Robbie Fox, who you've talked to before, where So I casted the ultimate 80s wrestling movie. And as a connoisseur yourself, I would love to get your take on my picks.
What do you got? Let me hear it.
First one, Gerard Butler as Roddy Piper. Hit me.
Well cast by way of look, but I don't know if Gerard can do comedy, and Roddy's got to have some comedy.
He's got some like The Bounty Hunter. You ever watch that movie with Jennifer Aniston? He was pretty good in that. He's kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm sure my mom loved that movie.
That's a tough when that's your first line of comedy defense. That's a tough one.
Listen, if I'm casting Roddy Piper, at the age in that photo, he looks like hella late 40s.
Yeah, true.
I'd go with Sam Rockwell over Gerard Butler.
Fair enough. All right, next up, David O'Hara's Bret Hart. I think the look is there. That's all I'm saying here.
Literally perfect, and David is I believe he's Scottish, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I think he can do the accent thing too, because the Europeans are better at the accents than the Americans. So I'm going to co-sign David O'Hara.
Okay, first co-sign. Next up, Kristen Nairn, who played, I believe, Hodor in Game of Thrones as Jim Duggan.
The look is there, but I just wonder how big is Hodor? Isn't Christian really big?
He's, I believe, 6'7", I want to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would co-sign that right now because there's not a ton of people that could play Jim Duggan.
That'd be a tough role to get over. No, this is my favorite one personally. Vin Diesel as Iron Sheik.
What an upsetting casting choice. How dare you? How dare you reduce the Iron Sheik to Vin Diesel is what I mean.
Imagine him calling someone a jabroni. How devastating that would be.
I mean, once again, here's the weird thing about Vin is like, I love Vin Diesel in Saving Private Ryan, and I love him as Groot. And like, I thought it was cool when he did that movie Find Me Guilty, where he had hair. Like, I think Vin could do way more, but his audience does like motorcycles.
They do.
Yeah.
They're like Tim Robinson, and I think you should leave. They love motorcycles.
True, yeah.
Duke is Kobe Beware. Nah, dude, not co-signing this one. I'm giving Winston Duke Junkyard Dog all day, baby.
Oh, even better. Okay, I love that.
For Junkyard Dog. Let's put some respect on the name.
I just love Coco. All right, next up, Bruce Campbell as Sergeant Slaughter.
Ooh. I'm going to co-sign it because Bruce is a fellow Michigander.
Is he really? Oh, I didn't know that. I think that he has the chin that just fits this, and when he like does a little underbite sometimes.
He's got some height. Bruce is over 6 feet, I think.
He is. All right, next up, Henry Cavill as Rick Rude. I think if you don't co-sign this, I might just end the call.
Yeah, he may log off the call.
Listen, I have great momentary affection for you, gentlemen. The look is literally perfect based on these photos, but we're talking charisma. Who's going to turn on the heat of the heel when he's got to grind and be a total scummy scumbag? Can Henry Cavill do that? I haven't seen him do that.
He did it in Mission Impossible. He was August Walker was a pretty good heel when he had to be.
Yeah, but that was more his presence. That wasn't like dancing and touching himself and being fun.
All right. And two more, I believe. Nick Cage as Jimmy Hart. Hit me.
I'd prefer Nick Cage as like Vince McMahon or Vince McMahon Sr., I think.
That'd be incredible.
He's got the charisma. A Coppola in the wrestling movie. I'd love this.
Jimmy Hart, I'm going to go Bud Cort from Harold and Maude.
Wow. Pull I didn't see coming. And then the last one, again, this is in 2019.
Wow.
Yourself as Dusty Rhodes.
To coin a phrase from Steve Austin, if you want to see Paul Walter Hauser play Dusty Rhodes, give me a hell yeah. Hell yeah. I would be honored to play Dusty. That's another one of those roles I would fight to stay fit, heavy set for just to play him. He's that good.
Mm-hmm. The American Dream. I love that. Thank you so much, man. That was awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, thanks for joining us. This was a blast. Love to have you back anytime. And Cruella, whatever it is, down the line.
Yo, go see Cruella in theaters or Disney Plus. It's worth the moolah. It's a good movie. And guys, have me back next time I do something worthy of talking to me. We'll let you know when we're in LA. We'll go to a movie at ArcLight because everyone says ArcLight this, ArcLight that, popcorn, pop. Well, I got to see it.
Whoa, look at that.
ArcLight's coming back, baby. Somebody buy Ted Sarandos, pull out your freaking wallet and buy ArcLight right now.
Thank you so much, man.
Much love, guys. God bless you. Be good.
Yeah.